What's up, Warport family? It's your boy C Dub here, and it is game day. Week 2, Auburn takes on California Golden Bears in Jordan Hare. Home game, not a late night kick, not a crazy weird kick. We're here to get in here and talk some pregame for the first 30 minutes before kickoff. I'm here, but I'm not by myself. I'm joined by none other than B Will. I'm also joined by our network's very own Dylan Lark of the College Loop. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about today? We normally gauge feelings about kind of how we feel. Are there jitters? Are we nervous? How are we feeling? Are we feeling confident? What's the vibes? What's the vibes pregame? And we'll get to some of you guys in the comments. We want to see some of your scores and predictions. We gave ours on Wednesday. We want to hear from you. We'll start collecting those and go through those in a minute. I've seen some of you guys already dropping scores in there already, but starting with you, B. Will, how you feeling, man?
I'm feeling very confident about this matchup. I think Cal is trash. They were so undesirable as a football program that they got left behind. They were the only one of four teams that couldn't find a home. You know
When
what
you
I'm
think of the
saying?
ACC, you think of Cal.
You think of the Cal Bears. So
Anything
nobody
on the
wanted
Atlantic
you.
coast?
You think of that state touch in the Pacific. That's exactly how it goes. So nobody wanted them. All right, Stanford at least had the academic chops. Cal does too, to be fair. They're great academic institutions, which is why somebody did want them. But no, why are you in the ACC? Okay, so this didn't work out. The Big Ten didn't want you. The Big 12 didn't want you. So you're just playing football against a bunch of people on the other side of the country. And you weren't good last year. You lost some key players. You kept a few key players. Ott's still there. They got another running back I heard is really good. But I don't understand why we would have any reason to be excited about Cal. Why their fans would have any reason to be excited? Their fans aren't excited about them anyway. Like in the first place,
Just in
outside of
general.
this
Mhm.
matchup, they just don't. They had like that a core like 10,000 fans that travel. It's not a lot, man. We should beat them by at least 25 points. I expect it to be
At least 3
a
scores.
cover. I was so surprised that the spread was only 13 and a half to start. I think it was 14 to start. And it's gone down. It went down as low as like 11, if I'm remembering
It's at
correctly, in
12
the
now,
last day or
right?
so.
Yes, a 12.
It's ticked back up to 12. 2 touchdowns is give me money. I'm actually logging in over here to put money. I hadn't bet.
Oh, he froze. He just look froze for you? That's a
Oh
weird
yeah,
way for you to get
he
frozen.
he bet his internet connection on the game too.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, my bad. You know what? I got my VPN on because you can't trust all these betting sites, so you gotta be careful. That's why my VPN's on. I'm gonna turn that off. I'm gonna get with y'all in just 1 second. Hold on.
Okay. Dylan, let me hear you. How are you feeling? How you feeling about game day? Week 2, everyone said last week, Alabama A&M. We're going to get to really see what this Auburn offense looks like, and defense for that matter. How are you feeling about Auburn today?
I'm feeling extremely confident. I have my bugging glasses over here that I might put on a little bit,
Let
but
me see them. Let me see them. Let me see the fashion statement. Oh, the bug glasses. I
yeah,
like
we
it.
bugging hard.
With the helmet, hey, I kind of like that. I kind of
I
like that.
I don't think Cal's very good. UC Davis gave them a run for their money, but I just think Cal is a very mid-tier ACC team, which mid-tier in the ACC is bottom feeder in any of the other power conferences.
Right.
They're running a 2 quarterback system, which Auburn fans are very familiar with. Last year was not very good, and it rarely works in any positive outlook. I saw ESPN was kind of talking about Cal's defensive backfield, how they got 3 interceptions against UC Davis, but still the struggle to win that game. Yeah, Auburn's going to win this game. I'm going to go 34-14 is where I'm kind of sitting at, but I
Oh,
would not be
boo.
surprised if it became a bloodbath. It's Bear season.
You and I are really close. I gave a 34-13 score. So we'll see. Either way, I have Auburn covering. You have Auburn covering. B Will has Auburn definitely covering because
Yes.
you're predicting at least
41,
a 25.
41-17, 42-17.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Okay, so Auburn. So you agree with Mike G that Auburn is going to hit the 40.
Yeah. I think we get to 40. For sure.
Okay. Let me grab some of you guys' thoughts on this. We're going to get into some analysis for this game. Just kind of look at what each team did last week against their respective opponent. Auburn Dad for Life says, all I can say is we need to win by 21 plus. So I'm picking 49-10. That's a very comfortable day at the office for Auburn, as well as Auburn fans there, Auburn Dad.
That'd be a great day.
Let's see what happens there. Michael is saying Auburn dropped 72 weeks in a row.
I don't know if we can get them like that.
I think Michael needs a pair of these glasses.
Yeah, you need to send that to Michael. Ernest Vaughn actually agrees close to you, B. He has 45-17 AU.
I'm with that. That's a good
JJ
pick.
Brand is right on the money, 42-17. So a lot. There's a lot of confidence from Auburn and Auburn fans regarding this game. Let's kind of look as to why that is. There's no notable guys being held out in this game, so Auburn stayed fairly healthy coming out of week one, which is a good thing. Jaden Ott, who is one of Cal's best players on offense, is probable for this game. He got a little dinged up in game one. How much of Jaden Ott do you think we'll see? I think we'll see a good bit of him. I don't know how effective he's going to be, but I think we see a good bit of him. But what do you think, Dylan?
If Cal wants to win, they have to use Jaden Ott. He is their just best player on the team by far. Last year, you kind of worried about Cal's defense a lot more than you will probably this year. Jackson Sermon's not there, and he's not there for Peyton Thorne to start off the game with a shovel pass to a linebacker. So I think this team is much better for Auburn. Coaching staff seem to, and the fan base seems to think so. But Cal's going if they don't have Jaden Ott, I think their chances of winning this game severely goes down into probably the single digits.
I don't know if it matters. I don't know if it matters that they have Jaden Ott because he's just one dude. He's just one dude, and I do think we're probably. Do I think we're better up front? I think we're a better front seven this year than we were last year. We're very thin up front linebacker. I don't think we have those issues this year. You don't have to worry about saving your front seven and leaving your secondary on the island. Nah, man, you play them. You got K and Lee back there to play some aggressive man defense. You play them. You let them play, and you go and you attack that line of scrimmage. You don't give them a bunch of room up there. I mean, sure, you're going to get hit for a little misdirection here and there because we are an aggressive defense, but I don't think I can save them because he's just one guy, and he's just the running back. Their quarterback sucks. They're in
Quarterbacks
suck. Now, what I don't know is, do they have a wide receiver that's just like oh my God, we got to cover this guy because he's going to make us pay for it. Like, I don't know that they have that guy. I don't think they do. And even if they did, if the quarterback isn't the same type of guy, then it doesn't really matter. I don't see anybody to be afraid of. So if you just got one running back, how did it look when we had Tank Bigsby and Jarquez, but the wide receivers and quarterbacks weren't good?
We were easy to defend.
But this is a Cal team that will run the ball down like throughout the entire game. So your best wild card is your only option for winning a game because they had 38 carries last week versus UC Davis, and they only threw the ball 28 times amongst two quarterbacks. So without Jaden Ott, I mean the chances are pretty low because Auburn's and even though Auburn's secondary is not their strong suit, I don't think, as you said, B-Will, I don't think Cal has the offensive prowess in the passing game to really do much against Auburn's, at least their starting secondary.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, I think that when you look at some of the stats and what they did, both teams played an FCS opponent. And I think one of the things that people give a hard time for is the fact that Cal did struggle and only mustered 31 points. Very close game at the half. They only rushed for 102 yards. I think that's very telling against an FCS opponent there.
Right. even if you were holding back and Jaden Ott wasn't playing, listen, that means you lined up for a full 60 minutes. We played for 50 minutes. We played 50 minutes of football, and we gave the ball back twice on fumbles, and we scored 73 points. You're telling me you played 60 minutes of football? Were they up in the turnover margin? Like, we didn't, excuse me, we can't even say we were up in the turnovers. We gave them possessions, and we still scored 73. You gained a total of 281 yards against an FCS opponent in
Cal
60 minutes.
Once, and UC Davis turned it over 3 times.
Yeah, 3 interceptions.
So you won the turnover margin. You got 2 free possessions. You netted 2 free possessions, and you managed 281 yards. This should be a blowout. This should be a blowout. It would be embarrassing to not cover this team. It would be embarrassing to not win by 20 plus, in my opinion. This should be a blowout.
I'd had to get some tough yards. He had 49, but until he came out, of course, he rushed for 49 yards on 14 carries. UC Davis. With the depth along the defensive line, gentlemen,
yeah,
it's not going to be pretty. I don't expect it to be pretty for them. And again, I think one of the things that we talked about, we'll talk about Auburn's offense in a minute, and we'll discuss that in depth, because that's been the thing that people are looking forward to seeing is this offense. The game plan that you expect Cal to implement against Auburn's offense is the exact same game plan you would implement against Cal's offense. Dare them to throw. Because you're not going to get much up the, and I'm assuming Isaiah Rakes plays today. I want to see, I'm paying attention to him and what type of force he is along the defensive line. But we're going to be playing a lot of guys, rotating in a lot of guys. And I think that's why, if I'm Cal, I'm concerned about this game, because it's not like Auburn is thin up front.
Right.
Auburn has bodies to throw at Cal's rushing attack. From the defensive line to the linebacking core. They got the front 7. There's plenty of people to throw at this attack. If Cal is forced to throw the ball, and they struggled doing that and moving the ball against UC Davis, what's the likelihood that anything effective travels across country against this Auburn defense in a raucous environment? Dylan?
Yeah, Auburn really hit the hammer on the nail with getting every single defensive line need that they needed over the course of the offseason. Picking up guys like Kieran Crawford, who is gonna be your power rusher, right with Jalen McCall being your speed rusher. You got Isaiah Rakes, who's a big body in the middle. Gage Keys, there's so many guys. Trill Carter and Philip Bleedy adding up the defensive line. This being such a run-heavy focused team, Auburn gets to use this back-to-back weeks, get ready for the Arkansas game in a couple. I think you're really going to see Cal struggle to run the ball, even with Chandler Rogers going in as their rushing threat quarterback. If Jaden Ott's not playing, I don't think that there's going to be there's not going to be very many positive yards to gain in the run game, and I don't trust Cal to be dual threat enough in the offense to really do much.
Any concerns defensively in the secondary, penalties, anything like that, with kind of a younger secondary for the most part? Is there any concerns there, or do you think there'll be so much positive going elsewhere on this defense it'll cover up any potential sins that occur in the backfield?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have that with a young backfield. You got Jalen Crawford and I'm trying to remember the other guy top of my head, Amon Lane. Gaines are both going to get in very much.
Cal's going to try to. They're going to try to go throw deep.
Yeah, they're going to attack the true freshman, as any team would. But I think Auburn outweighs them in talent for that, and I think that ultimately any mistakes that come up, Auburn's offense will be able to answer for it. Trifold. Triple fold, whichever means we score more points than them. But I think that with the young core going in, I don't think you're going to see much more of them than what we saw last week. I think a lot of the passing yards Alabama State got last week was because of the fact that Auburn was trying to get young guys in a lot more, and of course, you didn't see the starting lineup play very much. I think you're going to see a lot more of Keontae Scott and Kyan Lee than you are of Jalen Crawford and Amon Langanis, and J.C. Hart even will get in a lot more. I just think ultimately you're not going to see a lot of the young guys play this week as you saw last week, unless we get up to like by 40 or 30.
Let's talk about this offense, gentlemen. If obviously Cal is going to try to stop the run game as they did, they were pretty effective in neutralizing the rushing attack a year ago. Obviously, Jarquez wasn't Jarquez, and it was a goofy game of turnovers for this team. Auburn really gave Cal every chance to win this game because of how they turned the ball over. So from a standpoint of, and we see the stats here of what happened last week, Auburn really didn't run this game. This game against Alabama A&M was about the passing attack and taking what the defense was giving them. Do we expect a kind of a lopsided statistic in terms of what we do through the passing game as opposed to the run game? Not that we won't be able to run the ball, but that this offense will be reading the defense and taking what they give them. What are your expectations? I'll start with you, B. Will, in terms of what you expect to happen offensively today. And you're muted, by the way.
What I'm expecting is Cameron Coleman is pretty much a pro. He's a pro in how he carries himself. There was a play where hold on. I think it was he ran a basically a wide receiver screen, but he sold it very well. And Ike and I were watching the Phillies, the Eagles play the Packers last night, and there was a play where he got called. The guy got called for, like, no, that's a pick play. You can't do that. But as a professional wide receiver, the guy just kind of rolled into the defender. Like, he didn't sell it. He didn't look like he was running around. And Ike was like, Cameron Coleman just did this 100 times better as a true freshman at Auburn. We've got a pro out there right now in size, in talent, in skill set. I think having multiple guys like that understand what they're doing and are just better than the guys that are around them, we shouldn't be able to be stopped. Like, we got on the field with almost nothing consistent but a run game last year and still managed to play a bunch of tough teams and very good defenses very well. Well, that running game is still here. Those guys are still here. Most of that offensive line is still here. It's still potent. And now we got game changers on the outside. Like, we know Hugh likes the big guys are the game changers, but they're here now. And it's not like we got to wait for them to grow into their bodies or grow into their skill sets. Like, no, 2 or 3 of them are just ready right now. I don't know how Cal contains this. You could say maybe our offensive line has some questions if they have the pass rushers, but one thing that I think we can do is we can work our way around. You got one good pass rusher on one side. Okay, well, I've got an all-world running back, and you still got to try to guard these wide receivers. What are you gonna do? I'm trying to have a hard time. I'm having a hard time finding how we get challenged to the extent where I'm worried about this offense putting up points. So I think we should be throwing for over 300 easily. I think we should be running for 150 to 200 easily. Okay. I expect 500 yards of offense from us.
What do you expect from Peyton Thorne? Over 300 yards passing?
Yes. Over 300 yards passing. At least 3. No, at least 2 through the air, 1 on the ground. 3 total, no matter how it's split up. The offense should be flowing that well. As far as just making the passing plays through the air for touchdowns, I don't know. We could get down there to the 5 and say, hey, a handoff is the best move right here. But the offense shouldn't have any problem moving, but we shouldn't just have to run the quarterback to get yards. That's what I think. We should be able to move the ball in the air with relative ease. I fully expect that today.
Dylan?
I'm going to build off your point for a little bit, because I think the best part about Cam Coleman is not just his ability to make plays through the passing game for Auburn, but to also be a decoy for the other guys in this wide receiver room to go off. I mean, we saw last week, I think Cam Coleman was 4th on the team in receiving yards, right behind Malcolm Simmons, Perry Thompson, and Keandre Lambert-Smith. I think that kind of adds to the Auburn passing game a lot more, is that because we're not used to Auburn having a receiving core this deep all the way through wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 6, guys who can step in, just automatically take over whatever role they're supposed to be in. I think you're going to see a more balanced attack this week is what I'm expecting to see. I know last week was kind of like, hey, let's show off the passing game a lot more. Let's let Peyton Thorne kind of air it out. I think Peyton Thorne gets to around 250 today. I don't think you can see 377, or I think is that what he hit last week, 377. I don't think you get to that this week. I think you're going to see a lot more of Jarquez, Damari, and Jeremiah, because Auburn has too much skill around in every single skill position to really kind of hand it off to one particular receiver, running back every single time. I think you're going to see probably a 200-yard performance from the rushing game today, because I think you're going to get it across all aspects of the game. And I think you're going to see a lot more of Otto Fairweather, because he was a major point of why Auburn won the game last year, i.e. the receiving touchdown for the win. I think you're going to see a lot more of the ball getting shared than you just saw last week.
Yeah, I expect Thorne to throw for over 200, getting in the 250 range for this game. I do think Auburn will have some success on the ground. We'll see us run a little bit. I think Hugh Freeze wants to get closer to that 60-40 run balance. We'll see what Cal does, especially if Auburn punishes them for attempting to load the box to stop the run. If they begin to play Auburn more evenly, and what opportunities that opens up for our running back core. But we'll definitely see how this unfolds. But nevertheless, I expect Peyton Thorne to have another good day today, throwing the ball, getting the ball to the playmakers in open spaces, and watch those guys truly work. Let's get to some of you guys' thoughts in the comments before we get out of here. We see some of your comments here. Christopher Godfrey says, if we look good against Cal, considering it's Cal, is there a reason to boog a little bit? Christopher, I'm going to be honest with you. Until there's a reason not to, you should always boog. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So if Auburn looks good against Cal, you get your boog on. David Bacon, responding from Facebook, says, no turnovers, minimal penalties, must contain can't get baited to draw pass interference, penalties, establish a run game all game, get our receivers the ball, accurate, smart throws from Thorne, no interceptions. What happens with the turnover battle today, guys? What do we expect to happen? Is it a flip from last year, or is it even? Does Auburn lose it? What do you think happens in this game from a turnover standpoint?
I still think you see
a very optimistic secondary. So, what are your thoughts?
I think you still see a safer passing game than you saw. I think you're going to see a safer passing game you saw last week. I don't think you're going to see as many deep balls, because of the fact Cal does have an improved defense over Alabama A&M. That kind of the separation between FBS and FCS is having more talent at every position. Ultimately, I think, as we kind of talked about, I think you'll see more of the run game. And I'm not going to put any downside on Jarquez, Damari, or Jeremiah to give the ball up, as Arkansas has been trying to do all game against Oklahoma State. But I think that there's so many playmakers on the field for Auburn to make too many mistakes in that way.
Yeah. You never can expect turnovers. You know what's going to happen if it happens. But younger ball carriers getting loose with the balls, what happened last week. This week, I don't expect that to come from our mainstays. I don't expect that to come from Damari or Jarquez or really any of our wide receivers. You give some opportunity, right, for true freshmen, big stage. You get excited. Maybe it could happen, because we do have a lot of young guys that are hitting this. It's their first time in the spotlight. Alabama A&M was one thing. They weren't really challenged in that game. So as you get challenged more, the opportunity is going to present itself for you to mess up a little bit. And understanding that, I would expect at least one turnover. I hope and pray it's not from the quarterback. That's what would disappoint me. What would disappoint me if we're getting turnovers from the quarterback and not you did right, but the wide receiver ran the wrong route. I think we see that pretty clearly. Like how Hugh interacts with Peyton Thorne after he throws that interception, that's what lets me know who did what wrong. Because if he's chewing Peyton Thorne out, then we know, that it was him.
I wasn't confused about him getting chewed out that play, because everything was right. Pass protection, receiver got open.
He was going to let him know, and he will let us know too in the post game. So what I expect is that the quarterback will not be making those mistakes, you can't say it's never going to happen. You really don't know until like mid-year after the stats are starting to bear out to know, hey, we don't turn the ball over a lot as a team. That's great. We'll start to find out. But really the question becomes winning the turnover battle for us means, do we have a defense that's going to be opportunistic? That's going to be able to disguise and bait their quarterback into making some bad decisions. That's what we'll find out today. I'm not counting on us winning the turnover margin. I'm just counting on us beating them down. But I would love it if we just ended up getting 2 or 3 picks. That'll be a wonderful day. A wonderful day. But aggressive linebacker play on some guys who we know they need to run the ball, that can be a recipe, especially as running backs know that they got to make something happen because the passing game isn't going to do it. They try to do it a little too much. They fight for a little too many yards. Some very aggressive linebackers can make the most out of that. Maybe we see some of that more so than the secondary picking them off.
Beaver Cleavage, welcome. Jay Flowers says Freeze transforms QBs. I think Thorne is going to show us soon what Freeze does with QBs.
Let's see, man.
Hopefully. B Will's forehead says, say it with me, fellas. We clapping bare cheeks. Full bestiality mode. Appreciate that.
I was going to let you roll with that, saying that one out loud.
Lawrence Robinson says, what do you think our running back production will be? Do we have a 100-yard rusher in this game? We didn't have one We didn't have one last week, but again, that's part of just the offense working to perfection and taking what the defense gives it.
We're definitely going to have to get more. We're going to have to get more because we're going to be up 3 possessions or so, and we're going to need to salt the game away. I don't think you come out chucking it if you're up 21 points in the mid-third quarter. You want to control the clock a little bit at that point. So, yeah, we're going to run more. We'll have more opportunity for yards on the ground, but I would say we get between our running backs get 150 to 175. I don't know how they split up, though. So it's hard to say if it's going to be one guy or another. But I think our running backs, outside of Peyton Thorne scrambling, 150 to 175 yards.
Okay. Well, I think you're trying to get Jarquez that 1,000-yard season too. He's definitely earned one, but I think a lot of the time you're trying to prove to the recruits that are going to be in the stands. Auburn loaded up on another plethora of recruits for this game. One being, of course, Deuce Knight, who's going to be at the game today. I think you're going to really try to show off the offense as much as possible while showing off that, hey, not only we're going to ask you to pass the ball, but if we get to a bind, the run game's right there, and I still think Jarquez needs to have a big game against this Cal team, because last year, Quez, of course, didn't really seem like Quez last year. I think you're really going to see an energized and a Jarquez who's going to be running angry today.
James Burnett says if Cal dares this team to throw, they will be ran off our field. Just saying. I think we have a lot more confidence this year that when teams do stack the box and dare us to throw, they will do it at their own peril, because Auburn does have the weapons to actually get chunk plays when the defense goes man to man and stack the box like that. So I'm eager to see it. Big Homie Lander says Thorne 300 yards passing is insane. Y'all getting excited. Y'all getting too excited too quickly.
Let me qualify that. If he plays for 4 full quarters, I think he can get that.
They're not called blue glasses for nothing either.
Yeah. If he's not playing for 4 full quarters, then no, he's not going to get that. So if we can sub him out in 4th,
I'm cool
he's
with
probably
that.
not going to get that. Yeah,
I'm cool with that. Final thoughts, gentlemen, before we get out of here. We got about another minute before the broadcast comes on. Auburn probably will be kicking off a little shortly afterwards. Final thoughts, Dylan, on what you expect to see, thoughts and feelings.
Auburn is going to get a quarterback this weekend, according to Tom Loy, and I think Auburn's offense is going to have to show out for him to secure that pick. I think Auburn's going to run away with this one. Try not to look too far ahead to SEC play, because get another dual threat quarterback next week to worry about in New Mexico. But I don't think
almost all month. But
you're not lying. But Auburn's going to win this game.
B?
Yeah. Agreed. Same. Auburn wins. Going away. I would love it if we could be up 31, 34 points. We could have that in the third quarter, and they've got like 7, 10, and the rest is just ball controlling the game. I don't want anything exciting today. I don't want a nail biter. I don't want to have to secure this last. We got to catch this punt, or they'll be able to get. No, nothing close, nothing dramatic. I want control. I want to see this passing game continue to look good, and I want to see the quarterback not make blatant mistakes. This will be the first real competition he sees this year. He looked great against Alabama A&M. Please, sir, play well for us, please. You are the guy this year. There's nobody else is gonna get a real shot. So we gonna ride with you however far you can take us. No big issues from the quarterback.
We will definitely see. Auburn will be kicking off very shortly. You have been watching the pregame. Come back and check us out. We will be here at the halftime show to give our thoughts on the first half. Definitely will be comment heavy, so be ready to give your thoughts. We will run through as many as we can in that short period of time. You have been watching the pregame show. Enjoy the first half. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.